it don't get everything is true. But what it don't...
Boss, you can't go on ignoring this rock and roll stuff anymore. Every hotel and club in the country's wiring for information.
Hello, Groove Dogs. Welcome to the Runaway Radio Rewind, a program that looks and listens back to the heyday of one of America's truly great radio stations, the legendary and late KLOL. It's the Runaway Radio Rewind. And now, here's your host, Steve Robinson.
Hey there, and welcome to the Runaway Radio Rewind. It's time to take a look back at some of the people and events that shaped the legendary Houston radio station, Rock 101 KLOL. Today we hear more from someone who played a huge role in the success of 101. Dayna Steele is our guest, and I'm feeling a classic Uncle Waldo coming your way as well. Enjoy, it's the Runaway Radio Rewind.
So you're running for United States Congress.
I am.
How does a background in the kind of craziness of KLOL?
Well, first I have to point out that I went from radio to e-commerce to vice president of an aerospace company to professional speaker and have written 8 books. So I have a business background now.
But how did the radio part prepare you for what you're trying to do now?
Listening to people. Listening. I always listened to the listeners so you could get a feel for what they wanted. And, when you can only play 10 to 12 songs an hour and you're a DJ who actually answers the request line like I was, and you take 30, 40, 50 calls an hour, you have to get very good at telling people no without telling them no, because you can't play all their songs. But you can listen to them and you can say, oh, you know what? I just played Van Halen last hour, or I'm going to be out of here in an hour. I'm not going to be able to get to that. But boy, aren't they great? What's your favorite song? It's listening to people and just talking to them about what it is they love and they want to hear. And it also, I learned a long time ago, and it was from a program director early on, Rick Lambert, who used to hotline me every time I said, it's cold in here, it's hot out there, folks. He would call and say, no matter how many people are listening to you, everybody has one heart and one brain and one soul and their own passions, and they're listening to this radio station because they like you and they like the station and they like the music, but they want to know you're talking to them. So he taught me early on, and I used this later on as I went into being a speaker, and I use it when I post on social media. I try to use it when I'm speaking to people, and that is, I am just talking to one person. Rick used to call me and say, just pretend like you're talking to Christy. Christy was my best friend. She's the one who came up with the phrase Steele Workers for my listeners, which is stuck all over the world. I've had people walk up to me in a bar in Germany and go, I'm a Steele Worker. But it's just remember, and this is, I tried to teach this to people in my business speeches. When you're talking to a group, when you're talking to when you're trying to sell the boss on something, whatever, just remember you're talking to one person, no matter how many people are in the room. And people want to know what you're going to do for them, what's in it for them. So I think that's really helped me in the run. And it was the fact that I started with such great name identification that I felt obligated to use that identification for good. I was getting ready to retire and play golf, and I never understood all those rock stars in the 80s that wanted to play golf. Now I know I'm hooked on this stupid game. But I was going to go play golf and travel with my husband, who's still working. But I felt obligated to use my good fortune of having been a personality with KLOL and having such great name identification in Southeast Texas. That's the word. I felt obligated and honored to, when people started coming to me saying, would you run for Congress?
Do you think something like KLOL could ever happen again?
No, there's too many. There's too many choices now. I have DJs that have called me for 20 years saying, I want to be just like you. How did you do it? Well, first you got to get rid of Sirius and Pandora and Spotify and the internet, and we were your choice. We had competition every once in a while. But then they would go away, change formats, and we'd be alone again. We were the soundtrack of your life. We told you we helped you decide what you're going to wear that morning by telling you what the weather was going to be. We helped you stay safe when there was a hurricane coming. We helped you find water and ice and food after, a hurricane devastated or a flood devastated the area. We were there for you. We were there when the policeman got killed.
KLOL is often called upon to ease the emotional recovery of its listeners, and in fact, the entire city, by providing information, encouragement, and even financial support.
We were there when your dog got out. That's probably why I still do that stuff on my Facebook page. Just like another radio show. We were there for whatever you needed. I was at Joan Jett the other night at the Woodlands, or a little while back, and the head of security came up to me and he said, I met you when I was, just starting working here, and you don't know me, but my 19-year-old daughter's named Dayna. And I'm just stunned when people go, I named my kid after you. It's like, but people did. People did. We were not only the music that you fell in love to, you broke up to, you got your first job, you had sex the first time too, whatever. We were the soundtrack. But we were also so deeply rooted in Houston that we were there for every milestone, everything good or bad that happened all those years.
Is there any story you can remember from KLOL that was the most, like, if someone asked you what's the most outrageous thing that happened the whole time you were there?
Oh, see, I'm running for Congress. I can't do that now. I will just say John Wayne Bobbitt came to the radio station on some tour. And the only good thing about this is most people go, who? And I was dating Charlie. And, I shouldn't even tell this story. But he was showing things off in the studio. And I called Charlie and went, would you mind if I looked? So that's probably my craziest story. Everything, people always go, all that stuff that Stevens and Pruitt were talking about on the radio. Because, now everybody has cameras. But back then there was no camera. All those things that Stevens and Pruitt are talking about on the radio, that never happened. I'm like, oh, Lord, did it happen? So when people say, this is going to shock you, I'm like, no, it's probably not. I've seen it all. And, you just go, wow, it was a different time.
The one and only Dayna Steele here on the Runaway Radio Rewind. Hey, it's Steve Robinson. Do us all a favor and like the Runaway Radio Rewind Facebook page and add your 2 cents while you're there. And also check out runawayradiorewind.com. Now here's your Uncle Waldo fix for the week. We'll talk to you soon.
Teenage Miami Vice stand-up comedian type person. It's Act 1, Scene 1. And Uncle Waldo Crockett and Big Tubbs Bruno are on stakeout in a Miami suburb. Yes, it's a possible drug bust that could go down at any time, but it hasn't. They've been in their Ferrari, their cramped Ferrari, for 72 hours. They're getting a little bored. Let's join our heroes now.
Yeah?
Hey, Crockett.
I haven't seen anybody move here in 14 hours.
What time is it, man? I need a sandwich or something, okay?
Taking Quaaludes in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think this thing is ever going to come down, man.
Hey.
What?
I got a question for you.
Yeah, Crockett, what do you want?
Might pass a little time here.
Uh-huh. Well, go ahead, shoot. What's the question? Wait a minute, you see that guy come up? No, I thought he went back inside him. So go ahead.
Just spit. Came out with spit.
Yeah.
Nice jacket you got, huh?
Hey, thanks.
Check these threads. What do you think?
Marseille, I love them, yeah. It's really nice.
Uptown, baby.
Pink T-shirt's fantastic, yeah.
Got them up.
Boy, these stakeouts are boring.
I got this jacket off a dead Cuban pimp.
Yeah, I like the flamingo in the pocket there.
Backed over him with a Ferrari.
Did you get a balloon with those shoes? Those are nice.
Hey, when are you going to make the last payment on that jacket?
Tomorrow, if I ever get off this stakeout.
I got a question for you.
Or if we ever get the joke off here, what?
What did the nymphomaniac really say to the baseball team?
What? We don't have time for... Okay, what did the nymphomaniac say to the baseball team?
Who's on first?
Who's on first? Yes, we're
I just kidding. Hey, what did the...
I know you're trying to lighten the mood because it is so boring here on Stakeout.
Tubbs, what did the nymphomaniac really say to the baseball team?
What?
The catcher needs better equipment. Wait a minute, I just kidding. What did the nymphomaniac really say to the baseball team?
What did the nymphomaniacs really say to the baseball team, Crockett?
You need bigger bats. But seriously, Tubbs.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anymore, okay?
What'd she really say? What did the nympho really say to their baseball team?
I don't care what she really said, okay?
She said, hey, have we got any knuckleballers? Hey, you know?
I don't want to hear anymore, okay, Crockett?
I'm just kidding you. The nymphomaniac really said,
yeah.
Let's try to get a man on.
You've been listening to the Runaway Radio Rewind. Join us next week for more memories and goodness for the intelligentsia from the people who made the former KLOL what it was. Find us online at runawayradiorewind.com and be sure to grab your Runaway Radio gear. You can find the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. Show us your dog, and we'll see you next week on the Runaway Radio Rewind.